Chapter 11. In the center of the huge manor stood a 3-storied warlock pagoda with a total height of 60 m. That warlock pagoda's entire body was made of steel rock that was as hard as steel. Steel rock is one of the commonly used materials in the manufacture of warlock pagodas. Its degree of hardness is comparable to steel. After being blessed by a warlock, it will possess extraordinary strength. A brick-sized piece of iron rock's price is more than 1 gold coin. That 60 m tall warlock pagoda's iron rock alone needs to consume several million gold coins. In addition to other materials, the construction of this warlock pagoda might cost more than 10 million gold coins. Although the construction cost of a warlock pagoda is extremely expensive, but it also has a variety of wonderful uses. Inside the warlock pagoda, a level 1 warlock in coordination with enough apprentice warlocks could even contend against a level 2 warlock. In addition, the warlock pagoda could also gather the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, allowing the experts inside the warlock pagoda to speed up their cultivation. Moreover, some formidable warlocks could also use the warlock pagoda to manipulate the weather within the scope of the warlock pagoda. Some wandering level 2 warlocks who haven't joined any major forces don't even have their own warlock pagoda. The reason why Black Cottage was able to possess its own warlock pagoda was because they had taken root in Fernandro Principality and would obtain enormous wealth every year. A man dressed in a gray warlock's chongpao with 3 copper threads on the cuffs, looking to be approximately 35 or 36 years old, was watering a strange flower with a cat-like face in the garden next to the warlock pagoda. The gray warlock's chongpao represented that the man in his 30s was an apprentice warlock. The 3 copper lines on his cuffs represent that he is a level 3 apprentice warlock. Above a level 3 apprentice warlock is an official level 1 warlock. But there was a huge gap between level 3 apprentice warlocks and level 1 warlocks. Level 3 apprentice warlocks weren't considered too rare in Black Cottage, but there was only one level 1 warlock, Black Cottage's master. Solo, the water is too bland today. I want to drink honey water. Don't try to fool me with sugar water. The cat-faced flower swayed its body and bared its fangs. Solo smiled and said, "We've run out of honey. I'll go buy more in the afternoon." "No, I'm going now. I'm dying of thirst. Without honey, I will die." The cat-faced flower argued with Solo. "Wait a moment, the white raven is back." Solo looked up at the sky. A white crow descended from the sky and landed on his right arm. "Solo, Boulder City is in trouble." As soon as the white crow landed on Solo's right arm, it chirped out Viscount Harley's words in one go. Solo calmly listened to everything, then turned around and walked towards the warlock pagoda. Solo arrived at the warlock pagoda's 3rd floor, stopped in front of the deepest door, and knocked on the door. "Teacher, I'm Solo. Come in." A slightly aged voice came from the door. Solo pushed open the door. In the room, a white-haired old man wearing a black robe with a silver thread embroidered on the cuffs was writing something at a rapid speed in front of a table. This old man wearing a black pao was Black Cottage's master, the official level 1 warlock Bonnie, the ruler of Black City. The fates of Black City's 200,000 residents were all in his hands. Bonnie didn't raise his head, but said somewhat impatiently, "What's the matter? Quickly say it." "Teacher, Blackrock Town has been invaded by a warlock force." Sony respectfully reported the information he heard from the White Raven to Bonnie, not missing a word. Bonnie said somewhat impatiently, "Let Rooney, Poke, and James take a few level 2 apprentice warlocks to Boulder City to support." Rooney, Poke, and James are all level 3 apprentice warlocks, plus some level 2 apprentice warlocks. They can completely defeat a 1,000-people army composed of mortals. "Teacher," Sony respectfully responded, then withdrew. Before leaving, he very carefully closed the door. Not long after, a caravan set off from Black City towards Boulder City. 3 days later, the caravan entered Boulder City. At night, in Boulder City's City Lord's mansion, a grand banquet was held to welcome the arrival of Black Cottage's apprentice warlocks. After a night of revelry, Black Cottage's apprentice warlocks rested for another day. On the 3rd day, an elite army of 2,000 people set off from Boulder City, moving towards Blackrock Town. Is this Boulder City's main force? So many people. Yang Feng launched 4 microsatellites to constantly monitor Boulder City's movements. Boulder City's army had just set off when he received the news. He sat in Blackrock Town's newly established command center, watching the movements of Boulder City's main force through a large screen. This time Boulder City dispatched 2,000 elite troops. In addition to that, there were still 5,000 auxiliary troops carrying a large amount of supplies along the way, stretching for several li. It was very spectacular. In order to be able to capture Blackrock Town, Boulder City mobilized a lot of heavy siege weapons. In order to deal a fatal blow and seize back Blackrock Town, this important town. Among the 2,000 elite troops, there were also 50 heavy knights wearing knights' heavy armor. Those 50 heavy knights besieged, even a level 3 apprentice warlock could be killed. In the heavily guarded center of the army, next to an officer there were more than a dozen young men and women wearing a gray pow. Their cuffs were embroidered with copper wires. They were apprentice warlocks from Black Cottage. These are apprentice warlocks? Let me see what skills you have. Yang Feng directly put on the consciousness transmission helmet. The next moment, within a barracks, a liquid metal robot at once opened its eyes. Its eyes flashed with a red light, its body twisted and changed into Zhao Zhang's appearance. Yang Feng stepped out of the barracks. He saw that the barracks was already filled with level 4 bladed troops, level 4 gunner troops and level 4 artillery troops. The densely packed number of level 4 robots already exceeded 3,000. Moreover, during this time, Autumn Leaf Town and Blackrock Town were transformed into 2 huge munitions factories by Yang Feng. As long as there is enough iron or even more than 1,000 level 4 robots can be manufactured in a day. This terrifying force can easily destroy Boulder City. If not for having misgivings about the warlock group of Black Cottage behind Boulder City, Yang Feng would have already dispatched his army and attacked Boulder City. Set out! Following Yang Feng's order, the figures of the 3,000 level 4 battle robots immediately flashed, closely following behind him, swiftly rushing towards the direction from which Giant Stone City's army had come. Different from humans, the 3,000 robots can move at a maximum speed of 150 kilometers per hour. Moreover, as long as there is enough energy, they can maintain this speed at all times. This is the disparity between robots and humans. Blackrock Town's surrounding roads are not smooth, limiting the robots' movement speed, but the bladed troops can still maintain a terrifying movement speed of 80 kilometers per hour. Half an hour later, Yang Feng led the 3,000 robots to a hillside 40 kilometers north of Blackrock Town and set up an ambush. Chapter 12. Yang Feng thought for a moment, made the artillery troops and gunner troops hide, then directly placed the 400 bladed troops on the main road. If it wasn't necessary, Yang Feng didn't intend to dispatch the artillery troops and gunner troops. In Tyrandot subcontinent, warlocks possess supernatural and mysterious formidable powers. Black Cottage Warlock Group is already a Leviathan in Fernandro Principality, but there are also a lot of warlock groups that are more formidable than Black Cottage Warlock Group. With one more trump card, in the future when facing other warlock groups, it would have an unexpected effect. Approximately 10 minutes later, a team of mounted scouts appeared on the main road. After the team of scouts saw the 400 bladed troops standing neatly in the middle of the main road, they quickly turned around and galloped towards the rear. Giant Stone City's commander Luke somewhat didn't dare to believe his ears. He asked the scout, "What? You're saying that Blackrock Town's bandits are neatly lined up in the middle of the main road?" Giant Stone City's elites were all dispatched. There were also 50 heavy armored knights and more than 10 apprentice warlocks. With such a powerful force, even if a bandit group of more than 10,000 people attacked, Luke was confident that he would be able to defeat them. In his imagination, Blackrock Town's bandits defending the town was the most troublesome matter. Those bandits unexpectedly came out to fight. Moreover, they even openly stood in the middle of the main road. It was simply extremely stupid. He very much suspected whether or not these scouts were mistaken. That scout captain quickly said, "Yes, Commander Darren. If you don't believe me, you can ask my brothers." Luke slightly creased his eyebrows and sank into contemplation. Relying on his many years of battle intuition, he vaguely felt that something was wrong. That nearly 2 m tall man resembling a bear, Rooney disdainfully smiled and said, "Luke, he's just an idiot who luckily obtained a warlock's inheritance, that's all. With us here, he won't be able to stir up any waves. From time to time, this kind of idiot will pop up, just like weeds, no matter how you kill them, you can't kill them all." Luke slightly nodded, waved his hand and issued an order, "Continue forward." Giant Stone City's army then continued to advance. Soon they saw the 400 neat and tidy bladed troops standing in the middle of the main road. Luke slightly creased his eyebrows when he saw the 400 neat and tidy bladed troops. Such a well-disciplined army was the most troublesome opponent. Giant Stone Heavy Cavalry. Charge. Luke ordered. The heavy cavalry's charge would tear apart the opponent's line of defense. After cutting the opponent apart, the infantryman's ambush was the most basic tactic. Once the infantry's line of defense was torn apart by the tank-like heavy armored knights, they would be slaughtered. The 50 men and horses were all covered with a layer of heavy armor, holding 3-meter-long steel spears in their hands. Like 50 human-shaped tanks, they spurred their horses forward and gradually accelerated. In a neat formation, they charged towards the 400 bladed troops. The 50 heavy knights were wearing heavy armor that weighed more than 100 kilograms. The horses they were riding on were not ordinary horses, but black demonic wildebeests that had a trace of demonic bloodline. Black demon-like black demon-blooded knight whore-carrying heavy knights. Half-carrying 200 heavy cavalry, the heavy cavalry. On the battlefield, the armored cavalry, and said half to said heavy cavalry, powerful cavalry and guards that knights. Lee cavalry. At the same time, they were extremely difficult to support. Giant Stone City only had 100 heavy cavalry. 50 heavy knights could easily defeat an elite troop of 1,000 men. Facing the 50 heavy cavalry, the 400 bladed troops also directly charged towards the 50 heavy cavalry. Are they crazy? Seeing the 400 bladed troops charge towards the 50 heavy cavalry, Giant Stone City's people's eyes flashed with a whiff of incredulity. Even an Earth Knight wouldn't dare to face a heavy cavalry's charge head-on. Under everyone's incredulous gazes, the two armies fiercely collided together. The 50 heavy cavalry smiled malevolently, their 3-m-long heavy cavalry penetrated the steel bodies of the bladed troops. The next moment, the heavy cavalry's smiling faces directly froze. Almost none of the bladed troops that had their bodies penetrated died. Without any expression, they brandished their long alloy blades and fiercely chopped at the heavy cavalry's bodies. The heavy cavalry's armors were directly split open by the level 4 bladed troops. They were directly cut open along with their horses, blood splashing everywhere. In less than a minute, the 50 Giant Stone City's heavy cavalry were completely beheaded by the level 4 bladed troops. No one survived. Seeing the 50 Giant Stone City's heavy cavalry being easily chopped into pieces by the level 4 bladed troops, Giant Stone City's warriors' bodies turned ice cold. Some recruits' legs even trembled, their complexions pale. Luke's complexion was pale. Looking at the 400 bladed troops, his eyes flashed with a whiff of fear. The somewhat thin and refined-looking James stared at the various metal wires exposed by the pierced chests of the level 4 bladed troops. His complexion abruptly changed greatly as he shouted, "Golem! These aren't humans, they're golem. There are actually 400 golem. Fuck, this isn't something we can resist. Retreat." Golem is a weapon refined by warlock alchemists. Every golem's battle prowess is comparable to that of a human knight rank expert. Moreover, they are even more valiant and fearless than human knights. They are difficult to deal with. One-on-one, as a level 3 apprentice warlock, Jamie could easily kill a golem, but 400 golems could easily chop an apprentice warlock like Jamie into countless pieces. James's words just fell. He waved his hand, a black radiance flashed, a 3-m-long giant black locust with reins appeared in front of him. He flipped his body and directly jumped onto the giant black locust's body. The giant black locust forcefully jumped more than a dozen meters away. With a terrifying speed of more than 120 kilometers per hour, It directly fled with James towards a distant place. After James decisively fled, the rest of Black Cottage's apprentice warlocks also released the giant black locust, flipped over and mounted it, before fleeing towards a distant place. As long as you advance to become an apprentice warlock, no matter where you go in Tyrannid subcontinent, you will be solicited by aristocrats and live a comfortable and wealthy life. When those apprentice warlocks saw that the situation was anything but reassuring, they naturally wouldn't risk their lives for Giant Stone City. Seeing the apprentice warlocks flee, the 5,000 auxiliary troops in the rear also directly collapsed, before fleeing in all directions. A bunch of incompetent fools. Commander Locke cursed in a low voice. He saw the 400 bladed troops covered in bloodstains, expressionless, without any murderous aura, yet it made people feel incomparably cold as they rushed towards this side. Chapter 13. Locke still hadn't decided whether to fight or flee when the 400 humanoid bladed troops directly rushed into the midst of Giant Stone City's warriors, brandishing the alloy blades in their hands, as if 400 humanoid meat grinders set off a storm of flesh and blood among Giant Stone City's warriors. Bastards, go to hell! A Giant Stone City's advanced warrior with outstanding martial skills bellowed and ferociously chopped at the shoulder of a bladed troop. Ding! That sword merely left a shallow wound on the bladed troop's shoulder. No! That advanced warrior's eyes flashed with a whiff of despair and he issued a heart-wrenching roar. The next moment, that bladed troop casually chopped at the advanced warrior's body. One strike split the advanced warrior into two halves, blood sputtering all over the bladed troop's body. After that bladed troop beheaded the advanced warrior, it didn't cheer, it didn't roar, it mechanically stepped over the advanced warrior's corpse and continued to massacre Giant Stone City's warriors. Silent, callous, fearless, mechanical, that's the fighting style of mechanical warriors. Mechanical warriors are the ideal army that all leaders desire the most. They won't disobey orders, they won't be demoralized, even if they fight to the last soldier, they absolutely won't retreat. As for human armies, even if it's the most elite army, once the casualty rate reaches 30%, they will directly collapse. The battle didn't last long. Giant Stone City's 2,000 elite warriors suffered disastrous casualties, as if an avalanche collapsed in all directions. Let's go! Locke clenched his teeth, turned around and took his trusted subordinates to flee towards Giant Stone City. Drop your weapons, kneel on the ground and surrender, we won't kill you. Drop your weapons, kneel on the ground and surrender, we won't kill you. Seeing that Giant Stone City's warriors directly collapsed, Yang Feng gave an order. The 400 bladed troops then used their ice-cold metal synthesized voice to shout. Giant Stone City's remaining warriors, as if hearing the voice of heaven, dropped their weapons, kneeled on the ground and directly surrendered to Yang Feng. Really easy. In the end, flesh and blood isn't a match for steel. The only regret is that I didn't see the means of an apprentice warlock. Yang Feng walked on the battlefield full of flesh and severed limbs. He looked at the captives kneeling on the ground, his eyebrows slightly creased and then relaxed. Tyrannid subcontinent is a very cruel place compared to Earth. Basically, all countries had a large number of slaves. If Yang Feng failed, then he would be reduced to a slave, unable to live or die. From the moment he attacked Blackrock Town, he had no choice but to advance. If he took a step back, he would fall into hell. Then, let me see Giant Stone City's ability. Yang Feng arranged for 50 bladed troops to escort more than 1,000 captives to Blackrock Town, while he himself led more than 3,000 battle robots to quickly move towards Giant Stone City. After marching at full speed for half an hour, Giant Stone City's huge city wall appeared before Yang Feng's eyes. That's Boulder City. Blackrock Town is indeed incomparable to it. Giant Stone City was extremely majestic. The city walls were 25 meters high and were made of large white rock, second only to iron rock. The 25-meter-tall city wall could prevent most experts and powerful creatures from jumping onto the city wall. Among night-level powerhouses, only Sky Knight powerhouses could jump onto the city wall, which was 25 m high. Due to Yang Feng's troops advancing too quickly, the defeated soldiers still hadn't escaped back to Giant Stone City, when his mechanical legion had already arrived in front of Giant Stone City. Giant Stone City's city gates still hadn't been closed. Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a touch of a cold glint. He pointed towards Giant Stone City and ordered. The 400 bladed troops immediately launched at full speed, rushing towards Giant Stone City with a terrifying speed of 150 kilometers per hour. Who are you? Quickly stop. The warrior collecting taxes in front of the city gate saw the 400 bladed troops. His heart surged with a trace of an ominous premonition and shouted loudly. The bladed troops didn't pay the slightest bit of attention to the warrior's roars, and within a few seconds they arrived in front of the city gate. With a flash of a blade, the warrior at the city gate was directly beheaded and fell to the ground. Enemy attack. Enemy. Who the hell are they? Prepare for battle. Suddenly, a loud and clear alarm sounded in Giant Stone City. An army stationed at the city gate quickly appeared in the vicinity of the city gate and directly charged towards the bladed troops. The bladed troops immediately launched a counterattack and rushed towards the army. The two armies fiercely collided together. In a split second, flesh and blood splattered. The Giant Stone City's human army was directly harvested like wheat by the bladed troops. It didn't even last for a minute before they directly collapsed and fled in all directions. Giant Stone City's most formidable army, the heavy armored cavalry, wasn't a match for the bladed troops. It was even more impossible for the other human armies to be a match for this terrifying mechanical army. After defeating Giant Stone City's city guards' counterattacks several times, Giant Stone City's city guards' system completely collapsed. After leaving 50 bladed troops to control the city gate, Yang Feng commanded the 350 bladed troops to directly rush towards the city lord's mansion. After Yang Feng seized the city gate, the entire Giant Stone City sank into chaos. Along the way, all the enemies that Yang Feng encountered were directly beheaded by the 350 bladed troops. A lot of bandits that took advantage of the opportunity to burn, kill, and loot were also directly beheaded by the bladed troops he dispatched. The city lord's mansion was located in the center of Giant Stone City. It was a huge castle that was twice as large as Blackrock Castle. The castle's city wall was up to 15 m high. On top of the city wall stood Viscount Harley's elite private troops. The city lord's mansion was incomparably spacious within 600 m, without any trees or buildings. The 350 bladed troops rushed out from the street. 6 up to 7 m long giant crossbow bolts were shot from Giant Stone Castle. 3 giant crossbow bolts at once hit 3 bladed troops, directly smashing their bodies into pieces and causing them to fall to the ground, unable to budge. The rest of the bladed troops weren't the slightest bit scared by the giant crossbow bolts, expressionlessly rushed towards Giant Stone Castle. When the bladed troops approached Giant Stone Castle's city wall, 200 archers appeared above the city wall. A dense rain of arrows fell from the sky, shooting towards the bladed troops. The bladed troops casually brushed aside the arrows that were shot at them. Some arrows that were lucky enough to hit their bodies were also directly ricocheted away. Only 2 knight rank archers, relying on their terrifying life force, shot 2 arrows into the hearts of 2 bladed troops. But the bladed troops' vital points weren't at their hearts. The 2 bladed troops that were shot had 2 arrows stuck in their hearts, expressionlessly rushing towards Giant Stone City's city wall. Chapter 14. 6 apprentice warlocks wearing a gray pow finally appeared above the city wall. These 6 apprentice warlocks are the wandering apprentice warlocks that Viscount Harley had racked his brains to recruit. In Tyrannid subcontinent, warlocks control endless power and wealth. Official warlocks will be recruited by some formidable warlock groups. Very few official warlocks will be recruited by aristocrats. Only the greater aristocrats of those formidable empires might be able to recruit an official warlock. Greece. An apprentice warlock pointed at a bladed troop and cast a level 0 spell. The bladed troop slipped and fell to the ground. Several heavy alchemy heavy crossbows locked onto the bladed troop. 3 terrifying heavy crossbows instantly shot at the bladed troop, blasting it into countless metal fragments. Arcane projectiles. An apprentice warlock pointed at another bladed troop, an arcane projectile, as if a bullet, flew towards the bladed troop. The arcane projectile at once hit the bladed troop's chest, forcing it to retreat by a few steps. Its chest slightly caved in. Only the bladed troop's body swayed. It continued to charge forward without being affected. The level 0 spell arcane projectile can heavily injure a knight rank expert, but it doesn't cause much harm to robots like the bladed troops. Instead, the knight rank expert's chop is more of a threat to the bladed troops. Acid sputtering. An apprentice warlock pointed. An acid was directly sprayed on a bladed troop's body. As if a basin of concentrated sulfuric acid was fiercely poured on it, the bladed troop's body emitted bursts of white mist. It was corroded by the acid into potholes. If an ordinary human was splashed by the acid, their upper body would be corroded, they would struggle in pain and be powerless to fight. But the bladed troop didn't have the slightest reaction. It still continued to charge. Acid sputtering. Acid sputtering. Acid sputtering. After 4 consecutive acid sputters were sprayed on the bladed troop's body, the bladed troop's head was completely corroded. It fell to the ground and was powerless to budge. The 6 apprentice warlocks were really too few in number, even though they joined forces to knock down 7 bladed troops, but the bladed troops still rushed towards the castle. A bladed troop arrived below the castle, immediately sheathed its alloy katana on its back and raised its hands high. Another bladed troop jumped onto its 2 palms, and then raised its hands high. One by one, the bladed troops repeated this action, quickly forming 6 human ladders. Bladed troops nimbly jumped from the 6 human ladders towards the castle. But in missile, the 6 apprentice warlocks could only cast this level 0 spell, relying on the formidable repelling force of the arcane missiles. They shot down the bladed troop from mid-air. However, the mechanical bladed troop's agility was too abnormal. After the first wave of bladed troops were repelled, the second wave of bladed troops immediately jumped onto the city wall, brandishing the alloy blades in their hands towards the giant stone castle's warriors above the city wall. Go to hell! A knight dressed from head to toe in a knight's heavy armor and holding a great sword gave a furious roar. He erupted with formidable life force. He launched a sneak attack from the side. His sword chopped at the head of a bladed troop, directly beheading its head. The knight dressed in a knight's heavy armor didn't even have time to gasp for breath. 6 bladed troops immediately pounced at him. 12 huge alloy blades fiercely chopped at him from 6 different directions. The knight's martial skill was tyrannical, but he was only able to block 2 alloy blades, before being directly chopped into pieces by the rest of the alloy blades. There were altogether 13 knight rank experts above the city wall. Under the siege of a large number of bladed troops, the 13 knight rank experts were very quickly chopped into pieces. Even with the assistance of the apprentice warlocks, the knight rank experts still couldn't block the bladed troops that traded death for death. After the 13 knight rank experts were killed, the morale of the warriors above the city wall completely collapsed. They fled in all directions, kneeling on the ground and begging for mercy. The 6 apprentice warlocks didn't have time to escape. They were directly surrounded by the bladed troops and chopped into pieces, only leaving their heads intact. Everyone drop your weapons, kneel on the ground and surrender. You'll be spared from death. Following Yang Feng's order, the bladed troops immediately shouted as they beheaded the routed soldiers. The majority of the warriors in Giant Stone City's castle were Viscount Harley's private troops. Regardless of battle prowess or loyalty, they were by far higher than those of Giant Stone City's ordinary troops. Only a portion of them chose to surrender. The rest of the routed soldiers that didn't surrender were directly beheaded by the bladed troops. Viscount Harley was merely a knight rank expert. Under the siege of 7 bladed troops, he was very quickly beheaded. The entire Giant Stone Castle fell into Yang Feng's hands. Giant Stone City's 4 great clans took advantage of the opportunity when Yang Feng led his troops to attack Giant Stone Castle to seize the opportunity to break through the siege and leave Giant Stone City. Within Giant Stone City, a large number of aristocrats also carried large amounts of gold, silver, and other valuables and fled outside Giant Stone City. After capturing Giant Stone City, Yang Feng's losses amounted to less than 20 bladed troops. After Yang Feng captured Giant Stone City, he directly dispatched bladed troops to attack the villages and towns attached to Giant Stone City. Those villages and towns attached to Giant Stone City were easily captured by Yang Feng's mechanical legion. The lords that ruled those villages and towns were also directly eradicated by Yang Feng. A large amount of land was under Yang Feng's control. In those towns, a large number of engineering robots were dispatched to construct solar energy-absorbing umbrellas and munitions factories. After Giant Stone City's sphere of influence was under Yang Feng's control, the land under his control was more than 100 times larger than in the past. Giant Stone City's surroundings were rich in mineral resources. As long as the basic facilities were completed, the amount of battle robots that he could manufacture every day would be more than 50 times that of the past. Moreover, with the construction of a large amount of solar energy-absorbing umbrellas, Yang Feng no longer lacked energy. He could gradually eliminate Level 4 battle robots and mass-produce Level 6 and Level 7 battle robots. Level 6 and Level 7 battle robots were currently the strongest battle robots that Yang Feng could mass-produce. The reason why Yang Feng chose to mass-produce Level 4 battle robots before, that was because at that time, he had sufficient steel and lacked energy. After taking control of Giant Stone City, the situation was reversed. He had sufficient energy and lacked steel. The next day after capturing Giant Stone City, Yang Feng led the already fully charged mechanical legion towards the direction of Black Cottage. According to the information from Viscount Harley's mind, Black Cottage's master was an old freak that had lived for more than 100 years. His connections were extremely extensive. Black Cottage, this warlock group, not only had friendly relations with the warlock group behind Fernandro Principality, but they also had close ties with a number of warlock groups. Once Black Cottage mobilized its strength to search everywhere for assistance, Yang Feng's enemy might not only be Black Cottage's warlock group. The capture of Giant Stone City was within Yang Feng's expectations. Black Cottage was his real imaginary enemy. Chapter 15. After marching along the main road for an hour, the mechanical legion commanded by Yang Feng directly appeared in front of Black City. At this moment, Black City had already entered a state of readiness for battle. The city gate was closed and there were warriors patrolling above the city wall. Yang Feng's mechanical officers had just appeared in front of Black City. Teams of warriors quickly arrived at Black City's various posts, extremely vigilantly watching Yang Feng and his entourage from afar. Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a whiff of a peculiar glint. Such a fast reaction. Along the way, there were obviously no scouts, but they were actually able to react so quickly. Warlock's methods are really formidable. Yang Feng dispatched a miniature satellite to monitor Black City. Not long after he left with his mechanical army, Black City had already reacted. Countless warriors came to their posts in an orderly manner and prepared for battle. The Warlock Pagoda in the center of Black City blossomed with traces of radiance. A white cloud was attracted by a mysterious force from the sky. It fell above Black City and condensed into Bonnie's figure, dressed in a black pow with a silver line on the cuffs. Bonnie stared at Yang Feng in the middle of the mechanical legion and said in a deep voice, "I'm Black Cottage's Master Bonnie. I'm the Alchemical Golem Legion's master. How should I address you?" "I'm Steel Lord Yang Yi." Yang Feng changed into another person's appearance, stepped out from the crowd, looked at Bonnie in the sky and said unhurriedly, "In the world of warlocks, there were countless secret methods. Among them, there were some peerlessly strange curses that could even be cursed through a person's name. The might of those curses carried out through a person's name wasn't strong. A formidable level 1 warlock like Bonnie could easily resist them. But Yang Feng's body was nothing more than an earthling's waste. He had no resistance to curses. Once cursed, he would be dead. He didn't dare to casually announce his true name. Bonnie said coldly, "Steel Lord Yang Yi, our Black Cottage and you have no enmity. Why did you attack us? Our Black Cottage and Fernandro clan have been on good terms for generations. Fernandro clan not only has a level 2 warlock keeping watch, but also has a close relationship with Warlock College Antalya. By attacking our Black Cottage, you're becoming enemies with Fernandro clan, you're becoming enemies with Warlock College Antalya." Warlock College Antalya? Yang Feng's eyebrows creased slightly. He began to recall the memories he read from the several apprentice warlocks. In Tyrannid subcontinent, warlocks control everything. The majority of imperial clans of empires and principalities were controlled by warlock clans. Fernandro Principality was controlled by the warlock clan, Fernandro clan. Reportedly, Fernandro clan possessed an extremely formidable level 2 warlock. NR 3790 SIXS voice at once sounded in Yang Feng's mind. Warlock College Antalya, White Ivory, Eyes of Justice, Rose Garden, Savage Claw and Black Dragon Pagoda are Tyrannid subcontinent's 6 strongest warlock groups. According to legend, the 6 great forces all have great warlocks keeping watch. Yang Feng only had a cursory look at the memories of those few apprentice warlocks. He was basically unable to use them flexibly. Only a super AI like number 3796 could easily gather all the information he needed. Why did we attack your black hut? Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a cold glint, and he said with a contemptuous smile, "If you want to find a reason, then there are many. The biggest reason is that your black cottage is blocking my way." Yang Feng's eyes flashed with an incomparably cold killing intent. He said in a cold voice, "If you want to go further on the warlock path, then you need even more resources. I fancy Fernandro Principality's resources. Bonnie, if you're sensible and serve me, then I'll give you a good position. Otherwise, you'll die here today. You'll be my first stepping stone on the warlock path." Warlocks were Tyrannid subcontinent's pinnacle supernatural beings. Every warlock possessed extraordinary strength. Moreover, what attracted Yang Feng the most was that, once he became an official level 1 warlock, his lifespan could be extended to 200 years. Level 2 warlocks could extend their lifespan to 300 years. Level 3 warlocks could extend it to 400 years. Once he advanced to a great warlock, his lifespan could even reach 1,000 years. Wanting to become a warlock was extremely difficult. First of all, one had to possess a cultivation aptitude. Generally speaking, the probability of a warlock's heirs possessing a warlock's cultivation aptitude was much higher than that of an ordinary person. In other words, the probability of an aristocrat possessing a warlock's cultivation aptitude was higher. Apart from this, carrying out a warlock's cultivation aptitude, one needed to learn a variety of knowledge. Each knowledge was of considerable value. Ordinary commoners, unless their cultivation aptitude was heaven-defying and they were lucky enough to be discovered, only then would they be able to tread on the warlock path. Yang Feng, as an earthling's waste, didn't hold any hope for his cultivation aptitude. However, congenital deficiencies could be made up for later. Cultivation aptitude was insufficient, only a huge amount of resources could be used to make up for it. With the support of the entire Fernandro Principality's resources, it was possible for him to advance to become an official level 1 warlock. Bonnie said coldly, "You'll pay the price for your arrogance and stupidity." Yang Feng gave a cold smile and ordered, "Attack!" The 400 bladed troops suddenly moved and quickly swept towards Black City. Swamp Marshland. In the Warlock Pagoda in the center of Black City, Bonnie pointed towards that direction and cast a level 1 spell. The 60 tall Warlock Pagoda flashed with radiance. A formidable and mysterious fluctuation of power suddenly shrouded the area in front of Black City. In front of Black City appeared an enormous swamp with a length of 3 kilometers and a width of 100 m. Originally, the level 1 spell Swamp Marshland didn't have such a terrifying effect. It was basically impossible to instantly condense an enormous swamp with a length of 3 kilometers and a width of 100 m. However, under the support of the Warlock Pagoda's power, such a miracle could be formed. In Tyrannid subcontinent, there was a publicly acknowledged truth. If one didn't have the absolute power to cross 2 or more great ranks, then one shouldn't challenge a warlock inside a Warlock Pagoda. That would only be throwing away one's life in vain. Facing the swamp that suddenly appeared under their feet, the 400 bladed troops couldn't retract their momentum and fell into the enormous swamp. They were entangled in the swamp and slowly but firmly sank. The more the 400 bladed troops struggled, the faster they sank. Before long, they completely sank into the swamp. Seeing the 400 bladed troops sink into the swamp, the warriors above the city wall issued bursts of cheers. Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a whiff of excitement as he muttered, Amazing. Truly amazing. This is the power of a warlock. Too formidable. For Yang Feng, who was determined to tread on the warlock path, the more formidable the warlock, the more interested he was. Chapter 16. After the huge swamp mud swallowed the 400 battle robots, the mysterious force immediately disappeared and the ground returned to normal. Tenem, is this your limit? Bonnie, the golems under my command aren't just this little bit. Yang Feng gave a cold smile and waved his hand. The figures of the 100 bladed troops flashed and quickly arrived at the place where the 400 bladed troops had been swallowed. They took out huge bricks, stabbed them into the ground and began to dig and destroy the ground, wanting to dig out the 400 bladed troops underground. After all, Bonnie was only a level 1 warlock. Even with the help of the Warlock Pagoda's power, the level 1 spell Swamp Mud could only bury the battle robots approximately 10 m underground. If the opponent was a human, then being buried 10 m underground would definitely be a dead man. But as for the bladed troops, they were merely buried underground, unable to budge, but not destroyed. Attack! Above the city wall, an officer bellowed loudly. Huge catapults and heavy alchemical heavy crossbows appeared above the city wall. Heavy crossbow bolts up to 7 meters long and huge rocks weighing up to 2 tons bombarded the 100 bladed troops. A heavy crossbow bolt shot at the chest of a bladed troop, directly blasting its upper body into pieces and scattering countless parts. A huge stone weighing 1 ton fell from the sky and directly smashed a bladed troop's body, smashing it into a deformed bladed troop. Black City had the warlock group Black Cottage keeping watch. It was more than 100 times richer than Giant Stone City. Black City's various kinds of heavy weapons were also 10 times more than Giant Stone City's. Under the attacks of those various heavy weapons, the bladed troops were smashed and deformed. Yang Feng's expression didn't have any change as he watched those bladed troops being destroyed by those heavy weapons. Those level 4 bladed troops had the lowest level of technology. As long as their wreckage could be recovered, then only a little bit of energy would be needed to be smelted and then they could be quickly manufactured again. No matter how many bladed troops died, as long as the battle was won, the wreckage of the bladed troops could be recovered and new ones could be manufactured. It was equivalent to the bladed troops being able to be reborn without limit. It was precisely because of this that Yang Feng could be unbridled and use the bladed troops at will. No matter how many died, he wouldn't care. Fireball. After Black City's heavy weaponry carried out several blanket attacks, a large number of bladed troops were destroyed. Bonnie pointed his finger and cast the level 1 spell, Fireball. From the Warlock Pagoda, fireballs flew out like artillery shells and bombarded the remaining bladed troops, blasting them into smithereens. Seeing the bladed troops being blown to pieces, Black City's warriors above the city wall burst into cheers, their morale greatly boosted. Impressive indeed. A warlock coupled with a warlock pagoda was like a human-shaped self-propelled cannon with unlimited shells. Furthermore, it was a multifunctional human-shaped self-propelled cannon. Looks like I'll have to get serious. Yang Feng watched as the mechanical bladed troops were blown to pieces. He gave a slight smile and clapped his hands. Bladed troops slowly walked out from the jungle behind Yang Feng. 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 30,000, a full 30,000 bladed troops walked out from behind Yang Feng, forming a densely packed mechanical legion that couldn't be seen at first glance. The complexions of the human warriors above Black City's city wall also changed along with the continuous appearance of the bladed troops. When they saw the 50,000 bladed troops divided into 5 legions appear before their eyes, their complexions paled and their eyes flashed with a whiff of despair. A human officer's complexion paled and his voice trembled somewhat. How is this possible? How can there be so many alchemical golems? A human officer's complexion paled and he muttered, Impossible. A knight-rank alchemical golem's price is at least 3,000 gold coins. So many alchemical golems, 90 million gold coins. How can a trifling apprentice warlock have so many alchemical golems? Don't tell me we're facing a great warlock-rank warlock alchemist? Bonnie saw the 30,000 bladed troops in midair, His eyeballs almost protruded out and he screamed somewhat forlornly, "No! How can you have so many alchemical golems? Several hundred knight-rank alchemical golems, to the level 1 Warlock Bonnie who was inside the Warlock Pagoda, was an existence that could be easily dealt with. But against 30,000 knight-rank alchemical golems, Bonnie didn't have the slightest bit of assurance. The 30,000 bladed troops formed 3 huge 10,000-man phalanxes, neat and uniform. The spacing and size were completely uniform, as if they were a single entity. Every mechanical legion was silent and ice-cold. Compared to the most elite human warriors, they were brimming with obedience and order. Just by standing there, they gave people a huge oppressive feeling. Yang Feng ordered coldly, "Attack!" The 3 bladed troops at once dispersed and rushed towards Black City from different directions. Swamp Marshland. Bonnie's complexion suddenly changed greatly and he quickly cast a spell to change the terrain. A formidable fluctuation of power erupted from the Warlock Pagoda, shrouding the area in front of Black City and forming a huge swamp. Bladed troops immediately jumped into the swamp, then raised their hands and slowly sank, forming a platform-like existence. The bladed troops in the rear stepped on the platform formed by the bladed troops in front and directly charged forward. The range of the level 1 spell Swamp Marshland released by Bonnie was extremely vast, but after all, he was only a level 1 warlock. The Swamp Marshland's range was vast, but its depth was relatively low, only 10 m. Only 5 bladed troops were needed to form a foothold platform in the swamp. Those bladed troops possessed formidable computing ability. They stepped on the foothold platform with incomparable precision, quickly leapt over the incomparably huge swamp and rushed below the city wall. Once those bladed troops arrived below the city wall, they quickly set up human ladders. Above the city wall, Black City's warriors continuously poured hot soup and boiling oil onto those bladed troops, yet without any effect. Barrels of city-guarding fire oil were also poured down. A torch fell into the oil, at once forming a huge sea of fire enveloping those bladed troops. Under the burning of that sea of fire, those bladed troops were still unmoved. Unless the temperature of the flames reached the point of melting them, otherwise, they would be as unshakable as steel. Chapter 17. Practically all the attacks had no effect on those bladed troops. Only some knight-rank experts lifted huge rocks and smashed more than a dozen bladed troops until they were deformed. But that was also Black City's human warriors' final resistance. After the 20 human ladders were set up, a large amount of bladed troops continuously poured in from above the 20 human ladders. "Go to hell! Go to hell all of you! You damned golems!" A great knight, wielding a 2-meter-long greatsword and wearing a knight's heavy armor weighing more than 100 kilograms, roared angrily and rushed in front of a bladed troop. He brandished the 2-meter-long frightening greatsword and chopped at the bladed troop, forcibly chopping the bladed troop into 2. That great knight was followed by 8 knights, forming a small arrow. He brandished his terrifying greatsword. Wherever the greatsword passed, those bladed troops would either be sent flying or chopped into 2. The 8 knights beside that great knight protected his flanks and rear, so that he wouldn't be besieged and could display his strength to his heart's content. But that great knight's eruption was only like the setting sun at dusk. No matter how hard he fought, the number of bladed troops above the city wall was still increasing. Those mechanical bladed troops that didn't know fear, their faces were expressionless as they brandished their huge alloy blades and rushed into the midst of the ordinary warriors, setting off a storm of flesh and blood. Above the city wall, flesh and blood splattered everywhere, simultaneously accompanied by the screams of countless Black City's human warriors. One after another, the human armies were crushed by the mechanical bladed troops and directly fled in all directions. Before long, only 4 knight squads commanded by great knights remained above the city wall, still stubbornly resisting. The huge amount of bladed troops' main force advanced directly towards the Warlock Pagoda, only separating 1,000 bladed troops to surround the 4 knight squads. "Surrender! Surrender to me and you'll still have a way to live, otherwise die," a bladed troop said to the 4 knight squads with an ice-cold mechanical synthesized voice. Knight rank experts were very rare in the human world. Practically 1 in 1,000 ordinary people might give birth to a Knight rank expert. The 4 Knight squads were Black City's elite. If they surrendered, then Yang Feng's future walk in Tyrandot City's human society would be very convenient. Pay you freak. Go eat shit. A tall and sturdy great knight Bennett with a great sword in his hand, his eyes flashed with a touch of arrogance, and he spat towards the bladed troop. The bladed troop coldly ordered, "This team, kill them all." The figures of the 200 bladed troops simultaneously moved, directly pouncing towards Bennett and his 7 subordinates from all directions. "Follow me." Bennett roared angrily, brandishing the great sword in his hand, he rushed towards the bladed troops. "Ah! Save me!" Almost at the same time, Bennett heard miserable cries for help. He looked back, only to see that the comrades who had been following him had already been chopped into countless pieces by the unending stream of bladed troops. In just less than 5 breaths of time, Bennett's 7 team members were completely beheaded by those bladed troops. The 7 team members desperately attacked and destroyed 5 bladed troops. "You bastards!" Bennett's eyes were bloodshot. He issued a heart-wrenching roar. He brandished his great sword and chopped at the waist of a bladed troop, instantly chopping it into 2. 12 alloy blades chopped at Bennett from 6 directions. After losing the cover of his teammates, he barely managed to block 4 alloy blades, before he was chopped into countless pieces. When the remaining 3 Knight squads saw this scene, a chill welled up in their hearts. Bennett was Black City's strongest Great Knight. Such an expert was easily killed by the bladed troops. Even if they stubbornly resisted, they wouldn't be able to survive, only death would await them. "I surrender." A tall and sturdy middle-aged man with a full beard, John looked at the knights behind him, gave a long sigh, and threw away the great sword in his hand. John's team members secretly heaved a slight sigh of relief in their hearts, and threw away the great sword in their hands. After John surrendered, the other 2 Knight squad's experts also chose to surrender. The enormous mechanical legion advanced all the way, crushing all the weak resistance within Black City, and very quickly arrived in front of the Warlock Pagoda. Acid sputtering. Dark rays. Arcane projectiles. When the mechanical legion arrived within a range of 200 meters of Black City, more than 100 level I0 spells at once bombarded the bladed troops, killing several dozen of them. On the 2nd floor of the Warlock Pagoda, Black Cottage's apprentice warlocks filled the place, numbering close to 100 people. These more than 100 apprentice warlocks were Black Cottage's backbone. Warlock Pagoda had the effect of strengthening spells. The more than 100 apprentice warlocks inside the Warlock Pagoda could display battle prowess comparable to that of several level 1 warlocks. After several dozen bladed troops were killed, the remaining enormous mechanical legion wasn't affected in the slightest, and still rushed towards the Warlock Pagoda. At this moment, the Warlock Pagoda's door opened. 2 7m tall steel golems holding 2 6m long terrifying greatswords walked out of the Warlock Pagoda in large strides. The 2 steel golems appeared, their ruby-composed eyes flickered with a red light, and they brandished the great swords in their hands, fiercely chopping at the bladed troops. A bladed troop raised the alloy blade in its hands to block in front of it. The steel golem's great swords heavily chopped at the bladed troop's alloy blade, forcibly chopping the bladed troop together with the alloy blade into pieces. Tremendous strength. Agility. The 2 steel golems tenaciously guarded the Warlock Pagoda's entrance, madly killing those bladed troops. Above the Warlock Pagoda, more than 100 apprentice warlocks continuously cast some level 0 spells, strengthening the steel golem's battle prowess. The steel golems were battle weapons refined by genuine warlock alchemists by spending countless painstaking efforts and precious materials. Not only were their battle prowess comparable to that of a Sky Knight, but they were also capable of withstanding a variety of enchantments. They were incomparably formidable. Once the 2 steel golems were launched, they could even defeat a mortal's army of 1,000 people. Above the Warlock Pagoda, the apprentice warlocks continuously used all kinds of level 0 spells to attack those bladed troops, making them unable to besiege the 2 steel golems. The 2 steel golems' battle prowess was extremely terrifying, But once they were besieged by hundreds and thousands of bladed troops, only death awaited them. Those bladed troops had no morale to speak of, no matter how many they killed. As long as Yang Feng gave the order to stop, they would unceasingly chop the prey in front of them. Chapter 18. A bladed troop arrived in front of the Warlock Pagoda, extended its hand towards the Warlock Pagoda. From its finger extended a tiny suction cup, firmly sucking on the Warlock Pagoda. Then, with its hands alternating, it very nimbly climbed along the smooth wall of the Warlock Pagoda. The two steel golems pinned down a lot of bladed troops. A large number of bladed troops, however, directly climbed towards the top of the Warlock Pagoda from other directions. The densely packed bladed troops were akin to ants climbing towards the top of the Warlock Pagoda. It was extremely terrifying. Within the Warlock Pagoda, a lot of apprentice warlocks had pale complexions when they saw this scene. Their eyes flashed with a whiff of fear. Those apprentice warlocks had also gone out to gain experience and had defeated a lot of enemies. However, they had never seen such a huge number of monsters like the bladed troops. No matter how many bladed troops they cast spells to knock down, there would be even more bladed troops filling the place. That feeling of being killed without end, it would make people despair. Arcane projectiles. Acid sputtering. Dark rays. On the second floor of the Warlock Pagoda, there were 4 windows. The apprentice warlocks at the 4 windows couldn't bear the enormous pressure. They successively cast spells to bombard the bladed troops, knocking them down one by one. After the bladed troops directly fell to the ground, as long as their core chips weren't destroyed, they would once again climb up and quickly climb towards the Warlock Pagoda's windows. Having lost the support of the apprentice warlocks, the 2 steel golems were at once besieged by several hundred bladed troops, exchanging lives for injuries. After only supporting for a dozen rounds, the 2 steel golems were dismembered by the several hundred bladed troops and fell to the ground. However, before they fell to the ground, they also destroyed more than 150 bladed troops. The 2 steel golems fell to the ground, then the densely packed bladed troops rushed in front of the Warlock Pagoda. Some bladed troops put away their alloy blades, extended 2 drills from their hands, and fiercely stabbed at the Warlock Pagoda's gate, madly spinning and drilling holes in the Warlock Pagoda's gate. Some bladed troops brandished the alloy blades in their hands and fiercely chopped at the Warlock Pagoda's gate, chopping out shallow scars one after another. Yang Feng looked from afar at the scene of the bladed troops besieging the Warlock Pagoda. A trace of doubt welled up within him. Bani, this official level 1 warlock, had yet to make a move. It was unknown what he was thinking. If he were to act, he might be able to destroy hundreds of bladed troops. As far as Yang Feng was concerned, even if several thousand bladed troops were destroyed, as long as he could win, it wasn't a price to pay. After being melted down in the munitions factory, those bladed troops can be reborn again. Unless the enemy is very clever and takes away the wreckage of the mechanical bladed troops, only then would it be considered as truly killing a bladed troop. Fireball. Suddenly, the Warlock Pagoda shone brightly and 10 huge fireballs, almost forming a line, shot towards Yang Feng. The bladed troops beside Yang Feng jumped up one after another and collided with the fireball. Boom, boom, boom. Huge explosions sounded one after another, and the bladed troops were directly blown to pieces by the huge fireballs. Yang Feng said with a cold smile, "Operation Decapitation? It was indeed a good idea. Unfortunately, it's not that easy to kill me." "Is that so? Steel Lord Yang Yi, go to hell for me." Amidst the huge explosions, a cold and tyrannical voice was transmitted. A huge black fog suddenly gushed out, and in a flash, Yang Feng as well as the 800 bladed troops surrounding him were shrouded within it. In a flash, endless darkness swallowed Yang Feng, making him unable to see anything. Yang Feng said very calmly, "Start the infrared scanning system, sound wave detection, die." Along with a voice brimming with anger, a claw directly broke open Yang Feng's chest. Practically at the same time, Yang Feng also started the infrared scanning system and sound wave detection system. Through the information obtained from the 2 scanning systems, through the analysis of the intelligent brain, the image of the person who broke open his chest was reconstructed, and saw the image of the person who broke open his chest. At this moment, Bonnie had already transformed into a 3 m tall black fiend with black skin, a pair of fiend horns and a pair of fiend wings on his back. A 3796 transferred the information into Yang Feng's mind, Fiend Morph, a secret method of blood meridian warlocks. Through the transplantation of fiends' blood meridians, the warlock can obtain the formidable strength of a fiend. Fiends are incomparably formidable freaks. The lowest rank of fiends possess formidable battle prowess comparable to that of level 1 warlocks. Furthermore, not only do they possess tyrannical bodies, they also possess formidable talent in casting. Some warlocks like to transplant fiends' blood meridians. This way they can quickly become extremely formidable and their cultivation path becomes smoother. Blood meridian warlocks are the type of warlocks who transplant all kinds of blood meridians into human bodies and obtain the formidable strength of all kinds of monsters. Once this type of warlock is successfully transplanted with a formidable blood meridian, then they will possess formidable strength. Among all kinds of warlocks, it is the easiest for them to obtain formidable strength. The only drawback is that once the main body and the transplanted blood meridians are incompatible, then they will explode and die, go crazy, and other kinds of dangers. Bonnie was originally an existence of a pinnacle level 1 warlock. After undergoing Fiend Morph, his battle prowess was comparable to that of the weakest level 2 warlock. Only then was he able to pierce Yang Feng's heart. You don't have a heart. No, you're a puppet? No. What's going on? What the hell are you? After Bonnie's claw pierced Yang Feng's heart, the malevolent smile on his face suddenly had a huge change. His expression was one of horror. He exerted his strength and pulled out a liquid metal heart from Yang Feng's heart. That liquid metal heart at once flowed out of Bonnie's hand and flew into Yang Feng's body. Black Cottage's master is indeed formidable. Let me give you a present. Yang Feng gave Bonnie a slight smile. His body in a split second produced a huge explosion. Warping force field. Bonnie's complexion suddenly had a huge change as he cast a level 1 defensive spell. Boom, 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 boom. The 800-bladed troops beside Yang Feng also simultaneously launched a self-detonation. The terrifying explosion in a split second completely engulfed Bonnie as well as everything in the surroundings. The earth shook, a berserk shock wave spread in all directions, setting off a terrifying cloud of dust. The cloud of dust from the explosion had yet to completely disperse, when the 200-bladed troops quickly rushed out from the side and rushed into the cloud of dust. Shortly after, the 200-bladed troops carried the extremely battered Bonnie out from the explosion. Chapter 19. Yang Feng walked out from the side, looked at Bonnie and exclaimed in admiration, "Amazing, you still haven't died. The vitality of a demon's body is indeed strong." At this time, Bonnie's entire body was covered in wounds. His eyes were closed and he was bleeding profusely. However, his chest was still moving up and down. Clearly he wasn't dead yet. Some of the small wounds on his body had already begun to heal. Unlike humans, demons were monsters with powerful vitality. Their physical bodies were extremely powerful, and their recovery speed was also extremely terrifying. Some great demons with noble bloodlines could even slowly recover and grow a new body if they only had one heart left. I am currently unable to subdue a level 1 warlock. Kill him and leave his head behind. Under Yang Feng's order, a bladed troop stepped forward and directly beheaded Bonnie. Beheaded, Bonnie, the incomparably formidable level 1 warlock of the Black Cottage, fell at Yang Feng's hands. Yang Feng looked at the demon warlock Bonnie's corpse and felt some dread in his heart. Warlock's methods are really strange and formidable. If my main body was here, I would have already died once. My main body is still too weak. The Mechanical Legion under Yang Feng's control was extremely formidable. It could even besiege and kill official level 1 warlocks. The Mechanical Legion's only weakness was Yang Feng's true body. Once Yang Feng's true body died, the entire Mechanical Legion would collapse. It was for this reason that Yang Feng didn't dare to appear on the battlefield with his true body. Fortunately, he was cautious enough. Otherwise, he would have died. Bonnie is already dead. Are you still going to put up a desperate struggle? A bladed troop carrying Bonnie's severed head arrived before the Warlock Pagoda and shouted towards the apprentice warlocks inside the Warlock Pagoda. Teacher! Instructor! The complexions of the apprentice warlocks above the Warlock Pagoda suddenly changed greatly, their morale at once plummeted to the extreme. A male apprentice warlock waved his hand and released an enormous white swan. He jumped on the back of the enormous swan and rode the enormous swan towards the sky. Yang Feng took a look at the huge swan. He didn't let the gunner troops lying in ambush in the surroundings shoot the huge swan. In Black Cottage, the only one worthy of Yang Feng's attention was the level 1 warlock Bonnie. The rest of the apprentice warlocks were simply not in his eyes. If they escaped, then they escaped. Summoned life forms capable of flight at the apprentice warlock rank were very rare. Within the entire Warlock Pagoda, there was only one apprentice warlock who possessed it. After the rest of the apprentice warlocks saw Bonnie's severed head, their morale dropped and most of them chose to surrender. Only a few apprentice warlocks resisted, before being chopped into pieces by the bladed troops. The fall of the Warlock Pagoda signified that the entire Black City had fallen into Yang Feng's hands. He immediately sent his mechanical army to various parts of Black City to maintain order and kill all the thugs who took advantage of the situation. After killing 100 or 200 thugs, Black City restored its order and was barely under Yang Feng's control. Once Black City fell into Yang Feng's hands, he mobilized a large number of engineering robots to Black City and began construction. To build Black City into a steel fortress. Black City was located in the central region of Fernandro Principality. As long as one controlled Black City, they could easily control Giantstone City, Woodcliff City, Qingshan City, and Haiyan City, these 4 major cities. Once Black City was transformed into a steel fortress by Yang Feng, then when Fernandro Principality came to attack, even if they paid the price of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, they still might not be able to capture it. Black Cottage at the top of the Warlock Pagoda. Yang Feng said faintly, "Begin." A faceless liquid metal robot at once extended countless tiny mechanical tentacles from its body and pierced Bonnie's head. Immediately after, the liquid metal robot's body continuously twisted, inch by inch changing into Bonnie's appearance. After a full 3 hours, a person that looked exactly like Bonnie appeared in front of Yang Feng. The liquid metal robot opened its mouth and said, "Owner, I've already completely read all of Bonnie's memories related to warlocks and have already uploaded them to NR 3790 SIXS database." Yang Feng's eyes slightly brightened as he said somewhat expectantly, "Can you cast spells?" Warlocks not only had tyrannical fleshly bodies, but also grasped a variety of formidable spells. An official level 1 warlock could even contend against an army of mortals. The liquid metal robot mechanically replied, "I can't. I know all of Bonnie's spells. However, the principle of casting spells is to construct a spell model in a human's mind, then inject spirit force and transform the spell model into a formidable spell. I can construct a spell model in a microchip, but I don't have spirit force. That's the special biological energy that only life forms with souls can give birth to. Therefore, I'm unable to cast spells." "I'm unable to cast spells?" Yang Feng sighed somewhat disappointedly. The spell attacks cast by some warlocks were extremely strange. Only warlocks' methods could resist them. The mechanical legion in Yang Feng's hands was extremely formidable, but a strange level 1 curse could take away his life. He very much hoped to have a formidable level 1 warlock as his bodyguard, that way his safety would be even more guaranteed. Yang Feng asked, "Within this Warlock Pagoda, how many of Bonnie's spell traps are there?" Warlocks like to arrange spell traps within their Warlock Pagoda. Once someone without their approval enters the Warlock Pagoda to steal and triggers the spell traps, only death awaits. There are 23 spell traps capable of killing level 1 warlocks. 215 spell traps capable of killing an apprentice warlock. As long as owner sends bladed troops to trigger these spell traps, then they can be directly broken. Yang Feng said in a deep voice, "I want to practice cultivation and become a warlock." Help me test my spirit aptitude. In Tyrannid subcontinent, in theory, everyone could practice cultivation and become a warlock. However, the spirit aptitude for practice cultivation was divided into 9 levels. Level 1 spirit aptitude was the lowest level of mortal spirit aptitude. People with this kind of spirit aptitude, if they didn't have a formidable background, then no warlock group would accept them, because it was extremely difficult for people with this kind of spirit aptitude to even become a level 1 apprentice warlock. People with level 2 spirit aptitude were slightly better. As long as they studied hard, they still had the possibility of becoming a level 1 apprentice warlock. It was still extremely difficult for such people to join warlock groups. People with level 3 spirit aptitude were slightly better. As long as they worked hard, they still had the possibility of becoming a level 3 apprentice warlock. A lot of odd-job workers in warlock groups were such people. People with level 4 spirit aptitude, their aptitude to practice cultivation as a warlock was ordinary. If they worked hard, then they had a little hope of promoting to a level 1 warlock. People with level 5 spirit aptitude belonged to the outstanding category. If they worked hard and their luck wasn't bad, then they had a greater hope of becoming an official level 1 warlock. People with level 6 spirit aptitude belonged to the genius category. As long as they had a good cultivation method and sufficient resources, then they could easily promote to a level 1 warlock. People with level 7 spirit aptitude belonged to the super genius category. As long as they had a good cultivation method, even if they had a slight lack of resources, then they could promote to a level 1 warlock. People with level 8 spirit aptitude belonged to the freaks, monstrous geniuses. As long as they had a cultivation method, then becoming a level 1 warlock was nothing. Even if they lacked resources, then they wouldn't encounter any difficulties in practicing cultivation until level 3 warlock. People with level 9 spirit aptitude were legendary figures. As long as they had a cultivation method and opportunities, as long as they didn't fall into the enemy's hands, then each and every one of them would leave their name in history as a terrifying bigwig. The majority of official warlocks in Tyrannid subcontinent had level 4, level 5 or level 6 spirit aptitude. Warlocks with level 6 and above spirit aptitude were extremely rare. Bani himself was only a warlock with a level 5 spirit aptitude. Welcome to Legends of Cultivation, audiobooks, where we bring ancient fantasy to life through storytelling. Follow the rise of heroes who defy fate, unlock mystical powers, and battle across celestial realms. Our audiobooks are crafted for fans of Chinese cultivation novels, filled with battles, breakthroughs, and legendary artifacts. Subscribe and be part of an unforgettable journey into the realm of immortality.